Grand opening, grand closing. Welcome, my friends, my family, my fellow gamers. Your only friend is YouTube Streets, Porter Rock 77, back with another video. Today's topic is the PC console gaming report by NewZoo. I mentioned in my podcast, in my live on Friday, that I would go through this and give you a quick recap and stuff like that and talk about it. This report just came out in 2025. Covering PC gaming, console gaming, PlayStation, Xbox, data points and stuff like that, right? This is a pretty large report, but I'm just gonna hit up some key points right here. First, we're gonna kick off the overall market growth to 2027, and news was predicting that it's going to be predominantly by console driven, by a portion of it is Nintendo Switch 2, and then also some big key games on the console side like Grand Theft Auto 6, and then of course this is midway into the PlayStation 5 life cycle, so establish a good foothold in the marketplace. So looks like, and again, this is all forecasting, as you can see right now. For 2024 to 2027, you'll see forecasted PC growth of 2.6, while console will be 7%. So that's something. Next point here is PC's gradual growth is primarily carried by evergreen titles, and evergreen titles is like the free-to-play titles. That's a big chunk of PC's growth and revenue. Here you can see the breakdown. PC's primarily money transaction DLC, or PC money transaction DLC was up in a stagnant market. As you can see, 2024 PC gaming generated 37.3 billion, 0.1% year over year, so slight increase. You'll see DLC went up by 0.8% with 5.3 billion, and it makes up 14% of the overall revenue. Premium, that's game sales, is actually down negative 2.6, and that's kind of like what slowed the growth down a bit year over year. And premium game sales is about $10 billion, 10.7 to be specific. And as you can see, money transaction, which is the biggest portion of PC gaming revenue, is 24.4 billion, and it grew 1.4 year over year. All right, going down to console, is expected to return in 2025, driven by key pay to play titles. So Grand Theft Auto 6 is a big one, and of course with Switch 2 hardware and its first party titles, some big games. It's projected that console is going to have some dramatic growth. Nothing mentioning about Xbox or anything like that, but primarily it's just game sales here. And as you can see here, in 2024, console gaming generated 42.8 billion. Now, if you compare that to PC, you can see console gaming generated more money. And here's the breakdown. DLC is 2.2 billion, year-over-year growth of 2.5%. Subscription 6.9 billion with a 14.1% growth. So you could say that's PSN, Game Pass, Nintendo subscription, so all of them combined. That makes a portion. You also have money transactions, which is 13.9 billion, 4.5%. Now you can see the difference between money transactions between PC and console. Like PC's 58%, 24 billion, while on console it's 13 billion, almost double. Like PC's almost double. Now, when it comes to buying games, even though it's down, it's actually down 14% year over year. So game sales is down on console as well. But it generated 19.9 billion, and it's 46% of the overall revenue growth. And as you can see, compare that to 10 billion for PC. Console gamers clearly buy more games, buy more titles, as compared to PC. And that's overall. So $19 billion in paid revenue versus 10 billion. So it's almost double on the console side. So that's that data point right there. Let's go to the next one, which is playtime. So overall playtime, which is amount of hours, minutes, whatever, grew 6% year over year compared to 2023. So that's a good thing, right? Next one is so on PC and Xbox, the playtime showed stability. So, you know, not much changes between Xbox and PC, but on PlayStation was a huge growth compared to 2023. So 21% growth in playtime in 2024. Okay. And then let's look at this slide right here. So on PC, new titles continue to struggle to capture playtime share from older and aging titles. So if you can see here, in 2024 playtime, 67% of PC playtime is Counter Strike 2, League of Legends, Roblox, Dota, and Fortnite. The newer titles only make up 8% of PC's playtime. Helldivers, Call of Duty, Marvel Rivals, Path of Exile, Once Human. And this is what I was talking about, how, these live service games and ongoing games and stuff like that are just as relevant as new games. And they pretty much, are a competitor in this outlook. For console, does a little bit better, as you can see. 44% is again the free to plays, right? Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto, Rainbow Six Siege, Roblox, Minecraft. Like I said, those games, despite being released years ago, in this case, 6 years ago, they are still relevant today, and they compete for playtime, right? But the newer titles, you see Call of Duty, Football Club, 2K, college football, Helldivers, they have a higher percentage of playtime and stuff. And I think Xbox is pretty much similar. It's the same thing. The newer titles do a little bit better job on consoles than they do on PC. We're gonna jump to this slide. Players are becoming increasingly unreachable as annual engagement with 1 to 3 titles has risen since 2021. So since 2021, we're getting more and more gamers who only play 1 to 3 titles. The breakdown in 2024. So let's put it this way: in 2021, we'll start with PC Steam specifically. In 2021, 22% of the Steam gamers only play 1 to 3 titles. In 2024, that number has jumped to 34%. In 2021, 11% had 4 to 5 titles on average. That number has increased a bit to 13%. 2021, 21% of the Steam users played anywhere between 6 to 10 titles. That number remained consistent in 2024. And then the big one, gamers who play 11 or more titles in a year, it was 46%, for Steam, and it dropped down to 32. If you look at PlayStation, similar, maybe not as drastic, but 2021, the 1 to 3 category increased to 31%. The 4 to 5 games a year, average player, dropped a percent to 14% as compared to 2021. 6 to 10 dropped also from 26% 2021 to now 22%. But there was a slight increase to gamers who play 11 or more games to 33%. And if you look at Xbox, almost a similar across the board. An increase in 1 to 3 players and a decrease, or major decrease. Xbox had 40%. 40% of the gamers played 11 or more games, and now that's down to 30%. That's interesting considering they have Game Pass. Let's see with the next slide. Here, PlayStation remains consistent across all titles played, while Steam and Xbox see most notable declines between 6 to 13 titles played. So from the 6 to 13 title range, PlayStation has been normally doing the best. They have the best metric compared to PC and Xbox. It says right here, Sony is the lone bright spot as every market has been negatively impacted on Steam and Xbox. So this is in comparison in 2021 about the average titles played. by region, right? So on Steam, 27% decline, so 20% drop of how many titles are played per year. South Korea negative 27, Japan negative 32%, Germany negative 16, the UK negative 26, Mexico negative 22, France, Russia, Brazil, Canada all down, like really down, and Canada 36%. You know, for PlayStation, pretty much every number is up except for Japan. Japan's the only one with negative 2%, but in the United States, it's up 10%, UK up 18%, Germany up 5%, France 20%. So across, the numbers are up. And then for Xbox, as you can see, numbers are down across the board, just like PC. Negative 36 in Japan. Well, that kind of makes sense, right? Negative 37% in Korea. That's interesting because I remember there was like a big push about Game Pass in South Korea. So yeah, all of that is down across the board. PlayStation is like the only one that is majority of the regions. Um, People buying more games, playing more games. Pretty interesting. Next slide. We got a little bit of description here. PlayStation is primarily a AAA console, as indie and AA games make up less than 12% of the titles played combined. All right, so what that means is 88% of games played is AAA games, right? So now when we ask, why doesn't Sony invest in more AA games and stuff like that, indies, or just do all this stuff? Well, this is the reason why the gamers aren't playing a lot of AA games or indie games and stuff like that. That's just not what the platform. That's just not what the gamers want on the console. 88% are playing AAA games. That's what they want, right? So I would imagine AAA games and the big free to plays. That's what the audience wants, right? So, you know, Sony sees this data, and people wonder why Sony made the decision. Like Sony wonders why they try to make Japan studios a big AAA studio. This is why you can't argue when 88% of people who play on your PlayStation console plays AAA. That number just cannot be ignored, right? So that's why they want the Japan studios to say, "Hey, you got to start making AAA games because that's what the gamers want to play." You can't keep making, you can't force. Listen, you can't force an audience to play something they don't want. That's just not how it goes. Sony can't just go, "Oh, you will play these indies. You will play these AAA games." That's not how it works. It's clear what the gamers want, and that's what Sony's investing in. That's why you see a bigger push for AAA games from PlayStation, from Sony. It's because we're asking for it. 88% is asking for this. Um, Game Pass offers some benefits for indies and AAA on Xbox, but the benefits are minor as players overwhelmingly prefer AAA games. Right, so it's kind of about the similar thing for Xbox, right? Game Pass gonna have to push more and more AAA games because that's what the gamers are looking for. That's what they want, right? And to finish off, the video right here says top 24 console games skew heavily to free to play and AAA, while Steam features less expensive indie and AAA titles. So Steam seems like the place for indie and AAA titles, right? While consoles, free to play titles and big AAA. Yeah. And so that's the report right there, real quick. There's a lot more to it, but I think these are the most important key points into this report. But like I said, PlayStation's the lone bright spot, and just growing, and console gaming projected to grow bigger than as compared to PC out to 2027. So we'll see how that is. Hope you found this informative. I will post the link in the description box. Also, this Saturday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, I will have my live. Yes, normally it's on Friday, but Friday's Good Friday, so I will not be able to do it this Friday, but I defer to Saturday. So again, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, with special guest Zuby Tech. That's right. It seems like it's a lock. So looking forward to that one-on-one, interview, having him as a guest. Gonna be a good time. Check out the podcast, 60 Frames No Lag podcast. It's out there now. And if you missed out my last live, check that out too. You know, you'll see the playlist cards on the screen. Just click on it and enjoy the content. Thank you for rocking out. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and everyone hit the like button and share this out. You know, spread the love, bring out the awareness, help this channel grow. I truly appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys Saturday. Take care.